Welcome back to another 3 questions in 3 minutes with our power players. This time we are with Jim Whelan, the president of the Real Estate Board of New York, which is one of the oldest, in fact, the oldest in New York State, real estate trade associations. So Jim, thank you so much for being a real estate and development power player and for taking the time to sit here with me today.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks for the opportunity and for the conversation. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm very curious to learn more about REBNY. So what kind of work does REBNY do?
So, REBNY has been around 126 years. It's a real estate trade association. We have about 15,000 members throughout the 5 boroughs. The way I describe it, essentially it plays 2 roles. It's a chamber of commerce on the brokerage side. So it provides continuing ed opportunities, provides networking opportunities, provides information to members. On the residential broker side, we have the closest thing there is to a multiple listing service in New York City called the Residential Listing Service, or the RLS, which enables brokers to share listings with each other, which is critically important because, a lot of brokering in New York City gets done on a co-brokering basis where brokers work together to make a transaction happen, be it sales or rental. And then the other thing REBNY focuses on is we do advocacy. We do advocacy at a city, state, and federal level for both commercial and residential owners and commercial and residential developers. And, just given the importance of real estate to New York City, and by that I mean on an annual basis, more than 50% of the taxes the city collects is from real estate transactions. Real estate touches a lot when it comes to New York City, and how it does is very important to the health of the city from an economic perspective.
Absolutely. I had no idea about taxes. That's fascinating. And so right now, New York's kind of experiencing, at least the city is experiencing quite the housing crunch. I believe in February of this year, the vacancy rate was about 1.3% in Manhattan. So residential has really bounced back. How should regulators and developers be addressing the housing shortage?
Yeah, Anna, you really hit on a key statistic. When you look at New York City, I'm a lifelong New Yorker, a lifelong Queens guy. And when you look at the city over a period of time, over the last few decades, the city's been very successful from a point of view of population growth, but our housing production hasn't kept up. And, the very small vacancy rate that you cited sort of shows that we need to take steps, both the public sector and the private sector, to readdress the issue of supply and demand in New York City. We simply need to produce more housing to address the city's current and future needs.
I'm glad that you mentioned being a lifelong Queens resident. That brings me to my 3rd question. What are some of your favorite buildings or public spaces in Queens?
Well, the ones that jump to mind are the public spaces. First and foremost is Flushing Meadow Park. As someone who grew up in Elmhurst, it's actually where I learned to play golf. There's a sort of pitch and putt course there, and it's still there. And I used to go there with my father and with my family. It was always sort of a good time. And then, later on in life, I live in Belrose, Queens, and I have 2 kids, who are college age at this point. But, when they were growing up, Flushing Meadow Park was the place we'd go to, the Queen Zoo and the Queen Farm. And, now my wife and I will visit the U.S. Open at Arthur Ashe Stadium, which is sort of part of the whole Flushing Meadows complex. And then, a little closer to home out in Belrose is you got Queens Farm on Little Neck Parkway, which is a little slice of what Queens might have been like a century ago. And it's always a great place to sort of take visitors in from out of town. We were there, at Christmas time where there was a terrific Christmas display. So, those are the things that really stand out in my mind in terms of great public spaces in Queens.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm sure that you have amazing memories there. And it must have been very interesting to see also how Queens has changed since you grew up there as well. So, Jim, thank you so much for being a real estate and development power player. And thank you for joining me today for this.
Anna, thanks for taking the time and keep doing the great work you're doing.
Thank you.